Well, good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. I'm so glad to be with you today. It's another happy Monday in West Virginia, here in the mountains. The leaves are just about gone from the trees and are all over the ground, so it makes walking, for me, really fun. I love to kick through rustling leaves as I take my walk. I love the sound, love the smell. It's a precursor to winter, I know, but that's okay. I still enjoy kicking leaves around as much as I did when I was a small child. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're finding small moments of joy to celebrate as you go about your day. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to um, share with you today. As I was thinking about some of the great ideas that everyone was sharing in our group last week. And it so happened that on Friday, I happened upon a post from Barbara Garson, and she asked a question of everyone in the group. She said that her chapter was struggling right now and was having a hard time losing and getting motivated. And I think that happens to all of us from time to time. And for me, it seems to be this time of the year is more likely to have that happen. And I think a lot of it just is because it's getting to be a really busy social season for me. And it's also a very busy business season for me. There's lots of things that need to be done during the holidays. There are lots of things that need to be done by year end. And it just gets a little bit overwhelming. And so sometimes our desire to live our healthiest life seems to sort of go on the back burner. And we're dealing with so many other things that are calling for our attention and need our help and our advice and our input. Maybe that's not true for you, but it certainly is true for me. Uh, and so I was really interested in seeing what everyone had to say. And it was such a good conversation. Everyone was giving input on things that they were doing in their chapters and things they have tried to do, what worked, what didn't work. And a lot of times we learn by experience. Uh, and one of the things that kept coming up time after time after time was this just inability to focus in on the task of making the changes necessary to modify the way we're living to get the results we're wanting as we move forward in the direction of living our best life. And that, of course, includes things like eating healthily, moving more, uh, reevaluating how we feel, the stress levels we're under, all these kinds of things come into play. And you take this combined with a very busy season where other demands are being made on us by other people, places, or things. And it becomes, I think, a little bit more understandable as to why we might be struggling some. So, with that in mind, I was sitting uh, in the living room talking with my son one evening, and we were watching an old episode of a series that used to be very popular back in the day that all of my sons loved. I loved as well. And this series was a show called MASH, MASH, and it starred Alan Alda as Hawkeye Pierce. Great show. Uh, we enjoyed it tremendously as a family. And we were talking about different episodes. And after we were through and he had gone on his way, I got to thinking about that series. And there was a character in it called Dr. Winchester. And Dr. Winchester always had a way of making pronouncements to Hawkeye, and the two of them did not particularly get along too well, though they were both doctors. And this one time, Dr. Pierce, Hawkeye, had been in the mess tent with people, and they had been discussing the very thing that I have been talking briefly with you about, this ability to focus in on things and take care of stuff. And um, when he came outside of the mess tent, Winchester was coming out at the same time. And so he asked Winchester the question, what can you do? How do you manage to get clarity and to stay on task, if you will? And in all of his haughtiness, because the character Winchester was extremely full of himself and quite hardy. Uh, he made the comment that he does one thing at a time. He does it very well, and then he moves on. And I laughed at the memory, and I thought, yep, there it is. You don't try to multitask. Do the one thing that you've set before yourself, do it really well, finish it up, get it all tidied up, and then move on to the next thing. Because multitasking does not always work out as we think it might. I think sometimes we waste a lot of time trying to do too many things at the same time. In fact, I have given a talk several places from time to time just about how many thoughts try to crowd into our brains every single day. In a minute's time, it's amazing. Sometimes in 1 minute, you may have processed more than 10 separate thoughts. The first one probably being, why are you making me process these thoughts that I'm having? That's a waste of my time. But so it goes. When are attempting to multitask, you may be losing some focus. The Latin word for focus actually means a hearth or a fireplace. Uh, in the scientific Latin of the 17th century, the word is used to refer to the point at which rays of light refracted by a lens converge. Because rays of light, when directed by a magnifying glass, can produce enough heat to ignite a piece of paper, a word like fireplace is quite appropriate as a metaphor to describe their converging point. Uh, from this sense of focus has arisen an extension of our senses, such as a center of activity is a focus, a point of concentration, uh, a point to fasten our thoughts to instead of letting them run around uh, willy-nilly here and there. A train of thought, if you will. The center of the activity, the attraction of attention, to hone in on one thing. Um, I have been giving it considerable thought, and something that comes to mind to me is in order to be able to focus on whatever, you need to sort of get your thoughts organized. Have you ever wanted to go shopping for gifts and not had some general idea about what gifts you might want to be giving, what your budget is, what the preferences of the recipient are, et cetera, et cetera? Getting organized in whatever manner for whatever task you wish to accomplish is a step you need to think about. And then ways of keeping yourself on track. So I'm really bad if I go into a store where there are a great many of selections, I tend to lose that focus. And it's like, oh, here's a pretty thing. Here's the shiny thing. Here's the thing that makes nice noise. Oh, would they like this? Would they like that? And you need to actually look at your organizational list, which will help you stay focused on what you're looking for at that point in time. And then to be prepared, uh, if it doesn't seem to be available, do you have options outlined that you might be able to adapt and still accomplish your mission? Three main things I think help in us keeping focused. Some of the suggestions that the group made were to one, just have a general conversation within the group about what the intention and purpose of your coming together each week is. Perhaps you need something to help you, like a game or a contest that will uh, aid you in staying on task, remind you when your mind begins to wander of where you need to come back and place your attention for that period of time. You're not going to think about it every single time, but uh, throughout the day, you need to have time to place that forefront in your mind and not let other things um, crowd in and distract you. The more things we have, I think, crowding in our brains, demanding part of our attention, the harder it is to stay focused on what happens to be the priority item at that time. I know for my own self, I can get easily distracted and not do the things that I know I need to do daily in order to move me forward in my progress. I will allow myself, if I'm not careful, to get distracted, to lose my sense of concentration, to go off on a tangent. And I think this needs maybe to be talked about a little bit more. It was such a wonderful, wonderful topic that Barbara brought to us to discuss. And there is not one answer. Each of us will have to find the relevant answer for ourselves as we move forward in this regard. Uh, to do otherwise would be to shortchange every individual and to try to make them carbon copies of each other, which is certainly not fair to do in any way, shape, or form, because all of us are unique and we need to find our way uh, to stay in touch with those things that we value most. Um, so I think it warrants spending a little more time, especially at the busy time of the year for all of us, uh, to discuss how we can get better organized, how we can hone in on uh, what we have defined as our priority items. Sometimes I think we don't even really define what the priority item is. We just throw everything into the pile, onto the list, and I don't know about you, but I usually get overwhelmed when that happens, and I begin to say, well, that's way too much. I just can't possibly do it, so I'm going to do nothing today. Well, that's not helpful. It's truly counterproductive to get yourself in that position where you're on information overload and you simply cannot process all the data that is coming in at the same time, demanding the same attention. Improving in our ability to do triage and determine which things are most important in that period of time each and every day, because the list changes, life happens. What you thought was important sometimes gets put way on the back burner just because of life circumstances. And then to be prepared for any contingency, I think is really vital. So let's plan maybe this next few weeks to sort of think about this because this is our busy season. For many of us, there are all kinds of holidays coming up. There are social occasions, there are business occasions, there are fun occasions. Sometimes there are vacations that involve getting together with loved ones. And that again takes a different demand of time and energy from the brain space we have available to live all aspects of our lives to the very best we can. So I'll be interested through the next few weeks for you to think about this. And if you have tips, it certainly would be appreciated if you would share them so that all of us can find that we can get through this season um, in in as good shape as it started, or maybe even better shape than it started. And I mean that from not only a physical standpoint, I mean it from a spiritual and behavioral standpoint as well. You know, ways to cut down on our stress, ways to celebrate the season and why it has such meaning for us, and ways to not let ourselves be so distracted and overwhelmed that we fail to enjoy this special time of the year. So, with that in mind, I'm going to kick off myself off of here. And I have a couple things that I'm focused in on today that I need to be sure that are completed and will make my day and the rest of this week really, really a happy time. I hope you do it the same in your day, that you will focus in on a task that brings you happiness and joy and increases your productivity. And I will talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye for now.